Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Lewis and I'm going to make the world's bougiest toolbox. First thing I've got to do is machine all this timber. It's really boring to watch, so I'm just going to skip past it. Today we're doing the carcass. First off, the dovetails. Now the keys with dovetails is you need to saw straight. Oh, fucking beautiful. Today we're doing the mortises. There's two ways of doing a mortise. You can chop it out using a chisel, or you can drill it out and then chisel in the waste. Both take about the same time. One's just a lot quieter than the other. I gotta be honest with you, I got a bit too enthralled in what I was doing and I forgot to record it, but that's what it looks like. We need to run the grooves so the tenons will actually fully fit in the mortises, so I'll record that. Carcass is almost done. Today we're making the lid. Now we're going to do the decorative panel. Now you've seen me use pine to make the panels. However, what I wanted to do didn't work. I was meant to have like these indented, peened dots. It's really soft, but harder in some areas, so it just creates a ridge and it looked shit. And then I thought, oh, we'll try running grooves. And then that's how that turned out. And it all just splintered. Looks cool, but splintered out. So what I've done is I've got some MDF and some moulding, and I'll show you the panels. And I hope it still looks bougie. We've got to cut 9 of these per panel, so we now need to mark centre because we don't want this panel ended up with half of a line on one side and a full one on the other. Now we just got to take off this lip and square up the panel. Now we've got to sand these, we've got to seal them because of a process later. I'll let you in on that later, but these need to be sanded and painted. Now you might have wondered what makes the bougiest toolbox so bougie. Well, we're going to do a process called gilding, and that's essentially turning something like this gold. First, you're going to want to use something called size, which is like a glue. You mix it with water, paint that on. Now we're going to wait 25 minutes for that to become tacky. Then you want to put on some cloth gloves. Then you can pick up your gold. Place it on. You want to use a brush. Keep on the wax back. And just gently start brushing it down. You just take it off and repeat the same process. So after one coat, this is sort of what it looks like. It's not all dirty. You can see I've missed spots and put another coat on it. So use the size again and just cover it. Looking good, coming along. Just gonna wait for these, for the glue underneath to dry, and then I'll give it a dust off and a coat of shellac, clear shellac. We're gonna do 4 coats of this. Cool, I'm just gonna flip it over. Right, so I was gonna stain and dye the inside of this carcass, but it just doesn't look black enough. So I'm gonna go back to very traditional. We're using shellac, black shellac. And to do that, I need to make a pumice. Not what you think it is, but it is what you think it is. A pumice is a sort of sponge. So I'm just gonna show you how to make that. This is cotton. You want to stick that in. You're gonna shape it a little bit. Most people prefer sort of like a mouse-like grip because you're gonna want to hold it like that. This is our dye, our shellac. We want to go with the grain. So this is my 4th or 5th coat. Just gonna cut it back using a steel wool and then put on another coat. So I've finished doing the inside. I just need to use burnishing cream, but I'm gonna glue it up first because I'm just running out of time. We're gonna do a glue up. So we need to do a dry run first. This is what this is, to check everything's square. That was horrific. That was horrible. But it is done. Look at that. It's all square. It's all good. But we'll see more of that in the cleanup. Very excited to show you guys the finished stuff. Right, so we need to make the drawers next. It's very similar to making a carcass or a box, just using dovetails. I don't know whether you need to see it or not, so I'm just gonna make it and then I'm gonna show you how to fit a pair of drawers. Just running this groove. Didn't really want to get the router out because it's quite late on Sunday. So I'm using something called a plough plane, which essentially cuts grooves and mouldings and stuff. They used to use them a lot, so I'll just start off like this, a bit of band. Beautiful. There you go. Groove. Now we've got to make the panel to fit it. So we're doing something here called taking a relative measurement. This one doesn't have a groove, this back panel, because it sits on top of that. There you go, there's a drawer. Nice, simple, quick. Just time to glue it up now, and then we can start to fit it in the morning. So before we start fitting the drawers, we need to sharpen the plane blade. So we're fitting the drawers, so we just need to take off a thin layer, because these were pretty much cut bang on. So we just got to clean them up, and then they should go in. So all that's left to do now is stick the moulding onto this, to the drawer fronts, and then glue the lid together, gild them, and then put a finish on it, and then we're done. That's literally it. And then obviously the inside, but I'll tell you a bit about that later. So you might have wondered why I did through dovetails instead of half laps. It's just because I'm putting a false front on here, so it will match in with the panel in. So now we've got to fit the hinges. I've decided that 60 looks about right, 60mm in. And using a wheel gauge, you want to measure just under half of the pin. Then what you're going to want to do is measure the depth of the thickness of your hinge, like that. You're going to want to mark that one to the side. And we're just going to chop it out like you chop a mortise out. Just want to pry it back. Then what I'm going to use is this. It's called a router plane. They're really handy for fitting hinges. I'm going to use something called a brawl or a braddle. And we're just going to mark a little bit above. So you got middle, you want to mark a little bit above it, and that will push the hinge in. And that will create a nice tight hinge. I'm going to be using brass screws, so what you can do is you can just use paraffin wax. Just rub them along there, and this will help them go in. Look at that. Very minimal gap on the side, looking fresh. Ladies and gentlemen, my name's Lewis and I have made the world's bougiest toolbox.
La mer voit danser le long des golfes clairs à des reflets d'argent. La mer, des reflets changeants sous la pluie. La mer au ciel d'été confond